What's up, Valley Creek students, and welcome to Student Circles. This weekend we got to kick off our brand new message series called A Different Way, Do What Jesus Did. And this is going to be a big series, and we're excited because we want to live life a different way, do the things that Jesus did. We want to be a disciple of Jesus, know Jesus, think like, act like, live like Jesus. And we're hungry and thirsty for more of Jesus. And I believe you are too. See, there's a different way to live life. There's a way to do the things that Jesus did so we can do the things that Jesus did. To live the way that Jesus did so we can experience things like peace and joy and a connection with God. So as we start this year, I want to invite you to think about the question, who are you becoming? Like, are you growing and changing? And who do you want to become? And does the current lifestyle that you're living right now allow you to become that person? See, you're being shaped and molded and formed by someone and something. So who is shaping and molding you? You have a way that you're living your life. And I bet a lot of us don't always like the way that we're living our lives. Maybe we're stressed or anxious or afraid or overwhelmed and always busy. But Jesus, he sees this and he invites us to a different way. Let's check this out.
Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. We in American Christianity read this verse as when you've got problems, situations, storms, circumstances in your life, cry out to God, let him fix it, and then you can go right back to the way you were living your life. But what he says is, come to me. Come one, come all. Wherever you've been, whatever's going on, whatever your life looks like, whomsoever will, may come. All you who are weary, tired, wore out, broke down, beat down, discouraged, defeated, exhausted, and burdened, full of cares and worries and anxieties and fears and doubts, and I will give you rest. He offers to give you rest. Not circumstantial rest out here, but a deep inner peace where your soul and your mind and your heart can be at rest. And he says, I will give it to you. Meaning that rest won't be found with your counselor or your medication or your self-help programs without Jesus, because it's only found in Jesus. Take my yoke upon you. You say, what's a yoke? A yoke is like a wooden thing that they would put on two oxen that would strap them together so they were forced to go in the same way. Whichever way those oxen were going, they couldn't go in different ways because they were yoked together, so they had to take the same way. And Jesus is saying, take my yoke upon you. Like, come take my way of life upon yourself. Come do your life my way, the way that I do life. Yoke yourself in with my way of life and watch what happens. But to be yoked in with me, you first have to unyoke yourself with the world. You have to first take off the yoke of self, off the yoke of flesh, off the yoke of the world. Why? Because you can't be yoked to two things at the same time. You can't take two ways at the same time. And the reason so many of us have this divided tearing in our own soul all the time is because we have yoked ourselves to the world and to Jesus at the same time, and it's pulling us in two different ways, so our soul is never at rest. It's always being torn apart because you can't walk in two ways. Take that way off and come with me on my way and learn from me. Let me be your teacher. Let me be your leader. Let me be your rabbi and show you how to actually live your life in your circumstances and your situations. For I am gentle, I am kind, I am patient, I am gracious and compassionate and loving, and I am humble. I'm not arrogant and narcissistic and prideful. I'm a servant. And I'm submitted and surrendered to the Father so the kingdom can flow through my life into your life, and you will find rest for your souls. Remember, when the Bible says something twice in the same section, it's really trying to emphasize it, and not just rest, but rest for your soul, the deepest part of you. For my yoke, my way is easy and my burden is light. Easy and light, not hard and heavy. A lot of us are convinced the way of Jesus is hard and heavy. And the reason it feels hard and heavy to us is because we've tried to be yoked to Jesus and the world at the same time. If you've ever really fully taken off the yoke of the world and the yoke of self and the yoke of sin and really gone in Jesus' way 100% with everything that you've got, he promises you'll see that it's easy and light. You know what's hard and heavy? The world, religion. Your way of life is actually very hard and heavy. You know what's easy and light? Not worrying, not being greedy, being able to love your neighbor and forgive those who hurt you and trust in God in all things. That's easy and light. You know what's hard and heavy? Idolatry, immorality, anger and lust and greed, the love of money, the love of self. That is a hard and heavy way to live, and Jesus invites us to a different way. He says, seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. In other words, he says, arrange your life around me. Arrange your life, rearrange your life, order your life, reorder your life around me and my way, and I will take care of everything else. Can I ask you a really honest question? At the beginning of this year, what is your life arranged around? What is your life ordered around? Like what's the thing that you arrange everything else in your life? Is it finances? Is it work? Family? Relationships, yourself, because make no mistake about it, you seek first something. Something is in the center, and you arrange your life around it, believing that if I arrange my life around that thing, it will take care of everything else. Jesus promises that if we rearrange our life around him, he will take care of the rest of it. If anyone who would come after me, he must deny himself, take up his cross, and follow me. For whoever wants to save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for me and the gospel will save it. See, we want Christianity without the cross. We like Christianity with Jesus on the cross. We just forget that he also has told us we have to take up our cross. We want to be fans of Jesus without actually following Jesus, and we forget that to be a disciple means I actually have to deny myself. And I have to deny my way and my flesh and the world that screams and calls and begs me to come with convenience and comfort and say, I know, but I have to deny myself here because there is a different way. There is a way of Jesus, and we spend so much time trying to save our life, control it, hold it all together, put it together, be successful, be affluent, be prosperous. And the more I try to save my life, the more I lose it. But if I would just give it up and say, God, I'm going to entrust all of this to you and take your way, he promises that I will save it. Maybe it's time for a different way in Jesus' name. Okay, you ready for this? Here's what we're going to say all through this series. If you want to do the things that Jesus did, you first have to do the things that Jesus did. You say, what does that mean? That means if I want to do the things that Jesus did, I have to first do the things that Jesus did. It means if I want his life, I have to take on his lifestyle. If I want to do what Jesus did on the spot, I have to be willing to do what Jesus did behind the scenes. If I want to do his works, then I have to be willing to take on his way. You say, what does this mean? Here's what it means. If you want to do the things that Jesus did, which we all do, like heal the sick and raise the dead and cast out demons, you're like, those are big kingdom things. Like, okay, but how about just this? Like, love your neighbor and live free from money and not be afraid and have joy and peace and hope and be full of faith and deeply connected with God and be free and know what your life purpose is and where you came from and why you're here and where you're going. Those are the things that Jesus did. Okay. But if I want to do those things, I have to first do the things that Jesus did, which are what? Things like engage the scriptures and fast and pray and silence and solitude and Sabbath and celebration and confession and generosity and service. You're like, I don't know that I want to do what Jesus did anymore. It's foolishness to think I can do what Jesus did on the spot without doing what Jesus did behind the scenes. And so we have to look differently at the way he lived his life if we want to do the works of his life. I mean, just look at this. This is just to try to bring everybody into the game. These are just some of the things that Jesus did, right? You read the Gospels and these are the things that we want. Like he had peace and chaos. The boat's sinking, the storm is raging, everyone's panicking, he's sleeping. No matter how chaotic it got, Jesus had peace. How about self-control in the face of temptation? When the devil himself was trying to tempt Jesus, he had victory and walked in authority. He had joy in every circumstance, no matter how much grief or sorrow or pain or hardship he had a sense of well-being with God. He had purpose in the mundane, whether it was serving as a carpenter, being hidden for 30 years, washing the disciples' feet, walking down the road. He saw purpose in the routine details of his life. He had hope in the midst of despair, right? When everything has fallen apart and the Lazarus has been dead for 3 days, the little girl is dying, he's on his way to the cross. He still had a sense of the confident expectation of the goodness of God in the here and now. He had wisdom in life. He didn't live down to the world's foolishness. He thought the very thoughts of God. He knew what it was good, what was true, what is right. He had love in every relationship, whether it be difficult Peter, rebellious Judas, the woman at the well, the woman caught in adultery. He had freedom from the world. There's no anxiety in his life. There's no depression. There's no fear. He wasn't controlled by anyone or anything, and he didn't try to control anyone or anything. He didn't love money. He was free. He had security. He forgave no matter what. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And he had this profound connection with God in a disconnected world. These are just some of the things that Jesus did. Aren't these the things you want in your life? Without sitting down and talking to you, my guess would be most of your life is spent trying to pursue these things. This is what we actually want. The question is how are you trying to get this? Are you trying to get it through counseling, medication, self-help? Are you trying to get it through striving, performance, struggling, earning, succeeding, acquiring more resources, controlling the things around you through hot baths and long walks? My guess would be this is what you want. But if these are the things that Jesus did, then I first have to do the things that Jesus did to access them. Because these are the things that are found on a different way down the narrow road through the small gate. I mean, look, this is going to basically be the theme verse for this series. Train yourself to be godly. For physical training is of some value, but godliness has value for all things, holding promise for both the present life and the life to come. Train yourself to be godly. It's a command, not a suggestion. It's not an idea. It's not a good hope or wishful thinking. And notice it doesn't say try to be godly. Train yourself to be godly. What's your plan to train yourself to be godly? Do you have one? Because ironically, in every other area of life where we want to succeed, we know we need a plan and we know we need to train. Ain't none of us think that we could just put on a Cowboys helmet and a jersey and run out on the field and be a part of the game. I know they need some help, but ain't none of us think we can do that. We get smashed. What do we think? We think, well, if I really want to do that, what do I need to do? I need to train. I need to train like those professional athletes. Do I need to eat like them and sleep like them and work out like them and push myself? And I need to learn the plays and I need to get in a practice squad and I need to practice. We would never think we could just show up to the game, put the helmet on the jersey and go out and catch a touchdown pass. You would train yourself. This is true in our spiritual life. These are called disciplines, practices. That's what we're going to talk about in this series. You say, what is a discipline? A discipline is doing what I can do now so I can do what I want to do later. A spiritual discipline is doing what I can do now so I can access God's grace in a way that forms me and shapes me so I can do what I can't do later. This is what we're going to talk about in this series. Doing the things that Jesus did, so we can do some of the things that Jesus did. Because the amazing part about Jesus is when he was on the spot, he never had to try. Why? Because he was so well trained. He didn't have to try to not be angry. He didn't have to try to not. He didn't have to try to forgive. He didn't have to try to love his enemies. He didn't have to try to not love money. Why? Because he was the kind of person that those things didn't even exist in. So we'll get here, but it was actually easier for Jesus to say, Father, forgive them while on the cross than Father, get them good. Because he was the kind of person that Father, get them good didn't even exist in. So could you become the kind of person who, when you're on the spot, doesn't have to try because you've been training? And the prayer that I want to invite you to just start is, Jesus, help me be open to a different way. Don't decide today whether you're going to take this way or not. Don't say, nope, I'm good with my life. I'm great. I like what I got going. And don't say, yeah, I'm going to do all of it. Like, we need to actually start this whole process with a sense of humility. Like, Jesus, help me be open to a different way of doing my life. Because I've been so formed and conformed and shaped and molded in my mind, in my heart, in my soul, in my body, that I just kind of do my rhythm and my routine and my patterns and my attitudes and my habits, and I don't even know why I do them all. I just do. And some I like and some of them I don't. But I need you, God, to search my heart and show me a different way, a way that leads to life. But I first need you to help me be open to it. See, Jesus says, come to me, all you who are weary and burdened. Take my way upon you, for it is easy and light. Here's the invitation for this series, for this season. Jesus says, hey, do you not like the way your life is going? Are you tired and worn out and stressed out and burned out and anxious and depressed and afraid and feel like everything's out of control while you're trying to control everything? Is it not working? Then come to me and I will show you a different way. And that way is easy and light. But when we start on the different way, it will feel awkward and uncomfortable and unfamiliar, and it will be unknown. And it will not be what you want, but it will be exactly what you need. And in that way, you will discover immeasurably more than you can even ask or imagine.
Jesus invites you to a narrow road, to a different way, one that's easy and light and leads to the abundant life that will help us live differently at school, home, work, and everywhere we go. So let's allow Jesus to help us become his disciples so we can live a different way. So what does that look like for you? Let's turn to our tables now and talk about it.